Leinster have brought into this team, and they just bring it into every game. We even see it in the Pro 14 where they put out 6, 7, 8, 9 academy players and they play for the full 80 minutes at full throttle.
Number 12, Jamie Ross. Number 11, Joe Cortesina. Number 10, James Wilson. Number 9, Will Chudley. And your forward pack today, number 1, Nathan Katz.
For me it would, to be quite honest. I think what might have a major factor on that is the fact that I think Bath today will set out to, I don't want to say spoil Leinster's game plan, but they'll keep it very tight. They'll play the conditions, which are, I would argue, in their favour. They're very much a forward-oriented side at the moment. I watched their game against Sale on Sunday. It finished 7-all. They didn't score Bath until the 73rd minute, and when they did, it was pretty archaic rugby. It was one out around the corner, forward-dominated style. There's no great frills and spills about it. You know, Gervin Dempsey's got a job of work ahead of him to try and get this backline firing. But that said, I would expect that Leinster will come out. They'll be very professional. They'll probably play territory. Johnny Sexton will put them in the right parts of the pitch. And when you look behind the scrum at what they have at their disposal, Jordan Larmour on the wing today, Rob Carney, I mean, it is a swirling breeze. They'll put the ball in the air. And you've got, you know, he should have that locked off. That's going to be very safe. On the other side of things, look, I mean, Bath have quality in the back three, they do, but they're missing 8, 9 players. They're missing British and Irish Lions, right? You know, people are saying, I heard Devin Toner during the week saying they've got as good a back row as any team in England. They do ordinarily, but none of them are fit. Sam Underhill is the only player playing to his position. They've got Francois Lowe, the 65 times capped Springbok, but he's playing at number 8 today. And he's a groundhog, he's a fetcher, he's not going to carry ball all day. Tom Ellis gives them a little bit of balance on the blind side, but they're not a well-balanced side. They've got a little bit of grunt in the second row, but they're playing a journeyman, James Wilson, who's a third choice number 10. And with that in mind, like, they're missing Freddie Burns, they're missing Jonathan Joseph, they're missing Anthony Watson. Sure.
Come on, let's see it, guys. Let's see it for Sweet Corner. Come on! Come on, folks, let's hear it, guys!
Handy tip from our expert on coughs and colds, Laura Armstrong, Armstrong's Life Pharmacy Arklow, one of 72 life pharmacies nationwide.
Rest is the most effective remedy for a cold. But if you find that you're coughing so hard that your chest hurts and it's disrupting your sleep, ask your pharmacist if a cough suppressant would help.
Wishing you a healthy and happy Christmas from all the team at Life Pharmacies nationwide. Life Pharmacy. Live better together.
Leia Healthcare are for the tumbles, jumps and bumps in life. That's why we're recording this ad.
I'm saving over €340 on my health insurance.
I'm saving over €340 on mine. Where Mom pays for mine with Flex 125 Explorer from Leia Healthcare. Because when you pay for one of your kids' or teens' health insurance, the rest goes free. Oh, it's good to live. Leia Healthcare, looking after you always.
Insurance provided by Ellipse Insurance Limited, trading as Leia Healthcare. Leia Healthcare Limited, trading as Leia Healthcare and Leia Life, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. A kid or teen is defined as a dependent aged under 18. Savings based on one free kid or teen. Offer available from December 15th, 2018.
Discover the QLED Q6 range from Samsung. The much sought after Q6 range of QLED televisions offer pure colour across the whole spectrum. For more information and a full demonstration, call to Power City today.
The Christmas wine sale is now on in O'Brien's, with over 200 wines from small independent winemakers to well-known brands, like our Chateau Bottled Saint-Emilion Grand Cru, now $15.95, save €10, or New Zealand favourite Brancott Estate Sauvignon Blanc, now only $8.95. Pop in store or shop online at o'brienswine.ie. Please enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Enjoy your independent time this Saturday. Host with the most. The best festive parties don't just happen, so mastering the art of entertaining is a must. Weekends Modern Etiquette shows how to be the perfect host and the guest who always gets asked back. New chapters. After another bumper year for books, our critics recommend the best reads for stocking fillers. Red Gloss. As rugby returns to European action, Rory O'Connor and Tony Ward assess the Joey Carberry-Conor Murray pairing for Munster. Irish Independent on Saturday and independent.ie. Take a fresh look.
When you make Christmas, you want to make it for everyone. At Dunnes Stores, we're offering better value on all your Christmas favourites. Because with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save €10 for every €50 you spend. And not just the first 50, every 50. Choose from our award-winning fresh food and great deals on your favourite brands. That's €10 off for every €50 you spend. There's no other voucher quite like it, and it's only at Dunnes Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. See online for terms and conditions, minimum spend required.
Discover Samsung built-in home appliances at Power City. From large capacity single ovens with flexible cooking options to induction hobs with intuitive temperature control. For more information, go online to powercity.ie.
Volkswagen Financial Services has a product that could transform your business in 2019. Interested? It can remove depreciation costs on your entire fleet, free up cash flow for your business, and with fixed monthly payments, your fleet costs will always be the same. Sounds good, right? It also has a low cost of entry, and if your driver needs assistance, they'll call us, not you. And this product's name? Leasing. From Volkswagen Financial Services. So whether your business requires 1 or 100 vehicles, our leasing product can benefit you. Before you update your 191 fleet, visit vwfs.ie/leasing or call into your local authorised Volkswagen, Audi, Seat, Skoda or Volkswagen commercial vehicle retailer today. Terms and conditions apply.
Bath versus Leinster, live from the Rec.
On Off the Ball.
Just getting underway at the Rec. It is Bath against Leinster. Let's get over to our commentator, Conor Morris.
Thank you, Nathan. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, just 55 seconds on the watch at the Rec in this round 3 match in the Heineken European Cup. Johnny Sexton got us underway just a few moments ago, and Bath came up the pitch and turned over the ball in play just outside that Leinster 22. But it's Bath who have their hands on it once again, and it is going to be a testing afternoon. It's going to be trench warfare for quite a good deal of this game, you should imagine, because the conditions under the lights at Bath are pretty poor. It's Bath with ball in hand, as we said before the kickoff. So many of the Irish internationals that performed so well in Ireland colours back in harness for Leinster this afternoon, and it's one of the challenges facing Leo Cullen's side potentially, that those players reintegrate pretty quickly, because it's the second or third choice players that have done so well in the Pro 14 in the intervening matches, the likes of the team that went to Rodney Parade last week and also against the Ospreys at the RDS. But it's the home fans who are applauding what's a decent opening couple of minutes spell here for Bath. They kept the ball pretty well, but Leinster's defence stood strong, and when there was no option to put the ball through the hands, it was kicked through into the Leinster 22, and Luke McGrath just tells his forwards to give him that little bit of protection as he looks to box kick this ball away from harm's way inside the Leinster 22, and he will endeavour, you feel, to find touch on this near side, but he doesn't do so. Instead it goes into the arms of the journeyman New Zealander fly half today, James Wilson, a player who's probably a couple of ranks down the pecking order here, but they've so many injury concerns at the Rec that he has been drafted in today, and what a massive game it is for him to try and get this backline moving. I hear early doors there's been a goal at Old Trafford. Let's go quickly to Manchester United against Fulham, being watched for us today by Darren Stanage.
Manchester United 1, Fulham 0, and a brilliant goal from Ashley Young. He won the ball on the left-hand side after a layoff from Marcus Rashford. Had a bit to do, and he was very, very tight from an angle point of view. Got into the penalty area, and literally from the left-hand side of the area, smacked it in with his right foot into the top left-hand corner. It's the first chance we've had in the game for either side so far. United dominant in terms of possession, but they've had one chance and they put it away. United 1, Fulham 0.
Leinster on the attack here. Sean Cronin broke the line. It's been dinged through. James Lowe is chasing through, endeavouring to gather it up from full back. Comes Rory McConaughey, and he had to do very, very well indeed. James Lowe was careering down on top of him, couldn't quite get his hands on it, and Bath have secured it just 2 metres shy of their own try line here. Early surge towards that Bath line from the team in blue this afternoon, but Bath will endeavour to clear it. We will go to a Premier League goal very shortly. We'll just hang on to see if the half-backs between them for Bath, Will Chudley and James Wilson, can in fact clear their lines, and they do so with a touch find over on that far side. Premier League goal to tell you about.
West Ham 0, Crystal Palace 1. Strange goal. Free kick came in from the left. James Tompkins, the former Hammer, rose highest to head towards goal. Lucas Fabianski didn't commit immediately, the West Ham keeper, and MacArthur was onside to tap home into an empty net. Just on another side, no match in the Premier League between these two sides has been lost by the team scoring first. West Ham 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Guy Swindles at West Ham today. Thank you very much for that indeed. We resume here at the Rec with the Leinster line out right on the Bath 22, and is taken by Devon Toner. Interesting combination in the second row for these two teams today. Toner back in harness alongside James Ryan, but they're up against the considerable bulk of Dave Atwood and the captain Charlie Ewells. Leinster into midfield. That was almost intercepted. It was a risky pass out into midfield to try and release this Leinster backline, but Bath were quickly out of the defensive line. The ball has been held up off the floor. Leinster going forward, and they will have the put into the first scrummage of the afternoon. We've played almost 5 minutes at the Rec. Leinster front row this afternoon of Cian Healy, Sean Cronin and Tadhg Furlong. Sean Cronin, of course, has been in prolific form in this competition already this season, with a try against Wasps in that 8-try rout on match day 1. He also got across the whitewash, as you recall, down in France in the game against Toulouse, which Leinster lost by a point. And it's because of that game in France against the rejuvenated French side that Leinster simply must come here and win ahead of the rematch against Bath in Dublin next weekend. The rain has ceased momentarily, so some respite for those supporters over on the far side. It is a complete sellout, 14,500, which gives Leinster an allocation officially of somewhere in the region of 1,400. They get 10%, but I'm hearing from one or two sources that quite a number of tickets that were sent back have been snapped up by Leinster supporters. So there could be as many as 2,000 here. The city centre has been jam-packed, not just all morning but all weekend, and it is a good place to come pre-Christmas, and certainly Leinster will feel that way if they can come out of here with 4 or 5 points. They've not always had it all their own way here at the Rec. They did of course lose on their most recent outing here back in November of 2016. Now it's to be fed into that Leinster scrummage by Luke McGrath, who's at scrum half today. That's a little bit loose, that ball just slipping through the hands of Dan Levy, who finds himself at the relatively unfamiliar position of number 8 today. Jack Conan is fit, but he's on the bench for Leinster this afternoon, so I think between the two sides you could argue we've got about 4 number 7s on the pitch. Now Leinster have carried that ball into contact and they've been snaffled at the breakdown, and it's a turnover penalty to Bath, and that will please the backroom staff and Todd Blackadder no end, because he's picked a team to try and slow Leinster down at the breakdown. They had real problems at the breakdown in the weekend in the Gallagher Premiership. That game I spoke about against the Sale Sharks, they were just very pedestrian, very ponderous with ball in hand, and every time they got to a breakdown, the clean out was a little bit passive and they didn't get numbers there to really upset Sale, and as a result it was a turgid game that was 0-0 at half time. Let's hope we have a little bit more to talk about here this evening. 7 minutes gone, we await the first score, and having done well at the breakdown, Bath do their best to make a mess of that line-out ball. Tom Dunn tried to find a tail gunner at the back of the line. It clipped a Bath hand and it's back on the Bath side, so they do manage to secure possession. And they're just inside that Leinster half of the field, and they make good yards through the tackle. There's 2 or 3 Leinster bodies there, principally Cian Healy and Sean Cronin, trying to slow them down, but they did well, and they get it out to Jamie Roberts. And this time at the breakdown, there's a Bath player in from the side, says the French referee Matthew Reynal, and that will be a Leinster penalty, just 2 metres short of their own 10-metre line. And an opportunity here for Johnny Sexton just to find a Leinster touch on this near side of the pitch. Decent start by both teams, and as I said, 8 minutes in, the breakdown has been a flashpoint. Johnny Sexton delivers that with his right boot, and he brings it down into Bath territory, somewhere between the Bath 10-metre line and their own 22. And it's a Leinster line-out that has functioned pretty well this season. I know Sean Cronin was a little unhappy with 1 or 2 throws in the Wasps game, but largely it's been doing pretty well. And as at the moment, it's James Ryan at 2 to a shortened line-out with Devon Toner in behind, and Rhys Ruddock at the tail of that line-out with Josh van der Fleer standing in the scrum half position. They go right to the back of the 15-metre line, and they get that maul going. Van der Fleer adds his bulk, and now it's under the right arm of Sean Cronin, just 2 metres beyond the Bath 10-metre line. Bath getting numbers there, but here comes the Leinster surge. That's good work from Leo Cullen's pack of forwards. They make a little bit of slow progress. Now they've been stalled by Bath, so the referee says let's play that. Now into midfield they go to Noel Reid. That looked like an arm around the neck for a high tackle. The referee has spotted it, and he will indicate a penalty to Leinster from a kickable position here. Good atmosphere, packed stadium as I said. Noel Reid, of course, deputising for Robbie Henshaw, who's unavailable this afternoon in that Leinster midfield alongside Gary Ringrose. The 2 wide men, Jordan Larmour and James Lowe, and as I mentioned, Rob Carney at fullback. So an opportunity here. We've played 9.5 minutes for Johnny Sexton, who's not missed from the kicking tee so far in this competition, 10 out of 10. And he was very dependable over the autumn series for Ireland as well. Straight in front of the posts, around 35 metres out, swirling wind, but it's just abated ever so slightly in the last 10 or 15 minutes after we had that squally shower just before kickoff. So Sexton to get Leinster on the scoreboard here would be the perfect start. No question whatsoever. There was an arm on Noel Reid, a high one at that, around the neck as he went into contact. Sexton waits, and he strikes. It's gone very, very low, and he's pushed that to the left-hand side, and it's come back off the upright. He didn't seem to connect with it correctly whatsoever, and Bath come away with the ball, and they try and make some yardage out of their own 22 with the ever-dangerous Simizi Rukadungani. They've got so much pace and power in that back three. You'll have to keep an eye on Fukunasinga over on this near side, Rukadungani on the right hand side, and Rory McConaughey, who was one of the bright lights in that game last weekend against Sale last Sunday. So they've only had a 6-day turnaround. The kick downfield was retrieved by James Lowe, and Leinster bring it back up into Bath territory, and they get it into Cian Healy, and he was lined up by 2 or 3 Bath players. The first one missed him, the second didn't, and they've wrestled the ball free, and now they get it away to Jamie Roberts. Bath up to almost on halfway. Quick ball for Will Chudley, the scrum half this afternoon, who's very, very quick to the base of that ruck. He likes the snipe too. He's getting his forwards into the game here. This time he finds Tom Ellis wearing number 6 on the blindside flank. Chudley gets it away to Wilson. Big test, as I said, for Wilson. He's been back down in New Zealand during the summer playing for Southland, his club team, effectively brought back up here because it's needs must at the start of this season. Their lack of cover in that position. Freddie Burns, as I said, unavailable this afternoon, and no Reece Priestland either. Bath are making a good fist of this, and they're using the width of the pitch, something they were accused of not doing at the weekend, and it's that man Joe Fukunasinga, 2 times capped English winger, gets his hands on it back into Wilson. It's good quick ball, and they're asking real questions now of this Leinster defence. 12 minutes in, no score at the Wreck, and Chudley gets his team moving again. Through the forwards they go, and that one just knocked on by a Bath hand. It was enterprising, it was good, and had they been able to put it through that wide channel, they may well have just had an overlap on that far side for Rukadungani. But listen to the noise around the stadium, and that will tell you that the home side have made a pretty decent fist of the opening 12 minutes. Todd Blackadder will be very enthused by the invention and the creativity and the endeavour been shown by his team in these difficult conditions to try and play expansive 15-man heads-up rugby. Very encouraging. Okay, let's get back to the Premier League. An update from the Emirates. Arsenal playing Huddersfield today, and it's been watched for us by Andrew Cheal.
Arsenal 0, Huddersfield 0. Huddersfield goalkeeper Lusso very timely making a dart from his line to dive at the feet of Hector Bellerin, who's seeing quite a lot of the ball down the Arsenal right. That seems a very good route potentially to goal at least. The visitors looking confident and competent on the ball. A couple of extended periods of passing and movement denying possession to Arsenal, and that will be encouraging their manager. It's Arsenal 0, Huddersfield 0.
Andrew, thank you very much indeed. No score at the Rec between Leinster and Bath as we await Luke McGrath to feed the scrummage. We'll go to Old Trafford. Manchester United Fulham, Darren Stanage.
Manchester United 1, Fulham 0. That goal on 13 minutes from Ashley Young separating the sides. The home side have been the better side, no doubt about that. They're creating plenty of chances, particularly down the right hand side. Diego Dallo, the right back, looking really lively. Then good pace as well at both ends of the pitch. Put a few crosses in. Just hasn't worked for United. Rashford with the ball, a cross-face of goal. Nobody was there, but the home side dominant. Can they score more goals? United 1, Fulham 0.
Meantime, back here at the Rec, we've had a set-piece penalty go the way of Leinster at that scrum, and the referee was indicating, I think it came from over on that tight head side for Bath. Henry Thomas, the 27-year-old, 7 times capped English prop forward, just had a knee on the ground as he was trying to battle with Cian Healy over on that far side. So that's another little flashpoint we will keep an eye on. And it's gone the way of Leinster, and it's enabled Johnny Sexton to fire the ball down into Bath territory once again. Leinster will have a line out midway between the Bath 10-metre line and their own 22. They lead by that Johnny Sexton penalty to 0. 3 points to no score. Oh, I beg your pardon, it came back off the upright. I just force of habit, I would have expected him to kick it, and he didn't. But now Leinster come on the rampage with James Ryan on Cronin, and Cronin was almost in behind. That was good work at set piece time. The referee has spotted a knock on, and we've seen plenty of this, as I thought we might. He was called back. I think he got a little bit of a voice in his ear from the referee's assistant over on that far side. So just to clarify, Johnny Sexton didn't convert that penalty a short time ago. It came back off the upright. There is no score, and having put themselves in a very, very good opportunity off that line out, which was taken by James Ryan, he almost released Sean Cronin. The referee, a little bit belatedly, has called us back for another scrummage, and the put in will be to Bath. It's a Bath side, remember, that find themselves, after that draw last week here against the Seals Sharks, 6th in the Gallagher Premiership. They've played 9 games. They've only won 3 of them. They lost only one of the first 4, so they started brightly. They've only managed 1 win in that competition since the 22nd of September. And remember, of course, Gervin Dempsey is the backs coach here these days. And what we've seen in the opening 15 minutes, very encouraging from a Bath point of view. They put the ball through the hands well. They've seen plenty of ball go to second and third receiver. You've Jamie Roberts down that 9-10 channel, taking the ball at pace, using his power and his physicality, all 6'5" of his frame. And there's 94 Wales caps down the ears. 3 caps for the Lions too. One of the Bath players over on that far side is receiving a little bit of attention, but he's okay to continue, and they've set the scrummage, and it's been fed by Chudley, and it's a pretty strong one by Leinster here, but they get the ball away from the number 8 channel. Francois Lowe, remember, the South African playing 8 today. Tom Ellis is at 6, and Sam Underhill, who was exceptional in England colours during the November series, is on the open side flank. They kicked that downfield, and it's retrieved right over on the far side by James Lowe. He feeds his fullback Rob Carney, carries the ball into contact just shy of the Leinster 10-metre line. That's a big hit going in there from Sam Underhill on Johnny Sexton, who carried the ball to the line. Now standing at first receiver is James Lowe. He takes the ball back in field. Devin Toner is there to clear out, and it's for Luke McGrath to Tyg Byrne this time, but he's been met right on the gain line with a really solid challenge by Charlie Ewells, the Bath captain, and the crowd enjoying this physicality and appetite to the contact area being shown by the home side. Leinster struggling to get out of their own 22, so we will go back to Old Trafford, where I understand there's been a second goal of the afternoon. Darren Stanage.
Manchester United 2, Fulham 0. Really worked goal from United. Lukaku down the left hand side, fed Marcus Rashford into the area. He went, had a look, there was Juan Mata arriving, perfect pass from Rashford, and Juan Mata steers the ball home into the bottom left hand corner. Manchester United 2, Fulham 0.
Back here at the Rec, the ball is on the Leinster 10-metre line with the Bath scrum half Will Chudley. There was a half line break there from Rory McConaughey just a second ago as he took the ball up from fullback. He's a career sevens player up to now, 27 years old. He's been to the Rio Olympic Games at sevens level. He's very, very difficult to defend in the wide channels, and he can spot a gap through a little bit of traffic, step off both feet. Well, we're seeing a regular pattern evolve in this game, which is Bath taking the fight to Leinster inside the opening 17 minutes here. Remember, we await the opening score. It's carried into traffic by Fukunasinga, a long way in off that left-hand side. Fijians on both wings for Bath today, both of them very, very dangerous, difficult to stop, and very, very physical. Bath's discipline has been pretty good with ball in hand. And now they work it out into the wide channels on the right-hand side. Some defending for James Lowe and Rob Corney to do. Luke McGrath settles himself in the backfield on this near side. Should they go for a cross-field kick? Lormer is there too, but they go back against the grain with Chudley. That was really well done. Leinster scampering across. The scramble defence is good. Now they've got runners on the angle. Jimmy Roberts came looking for it. They went a little bit more narrow than him. Leinster piling bodies into every breakdown now just to try and slow this Bath attack down. Wilson all the way out to Underhill. Really good ball to the open side. Leinster calling numbers across, and they're going to win the battle of the turnover, but the referee is going all the way back over to the other side. I feel he may have been playing advantage for an offside against Leinster. Yes, he was. So it's a Bath penalty inside that Leinster 22. Now what will be the decision here? Charlie Ewells will have a chat, the 23-year-old second row captain for Bath, and they'll kick this to the corner. And so James Wilson has the ball and he fires it to that 5-metre line, and it will be an attacking line out for Bath to try and manufacture the first score of the afternoon. And it's no more than they deserve on the balance of what we've seen for the opening quarter. They've been very, very dynamic with ball in hand. Huge amount of physicality about it. And given the slippery conditions, they have carried the ball extremely well for a side bereft of any confidence and conviction in what we've seen in the Gallagher Premiership, as I said, over the last 7 or 8 weeks, really. Leinster coming into this, by contrast, with 4 straight wins following that defeat down in Toulouse. But Leinster, have they turned that over? Well, it wasn't straight from touch over on that far side from Tom Dunn, the hooker who's come through the Bath Academy here, and he'll be very disappointed with that. It was the perfect platform and opportunity for Bath to try and get in for a 5 or a 7 pointer. A very, very popular player here, Tom Dunn. Tireless work rate. He's a player who's never really broken ranks at test level. He's been in and around the England squad several times, yet to be capped though. Was named in the extended Six Nations squad by Eddie Jones back in January. Didn't quite make it though. Now, time for Leinster to try and clear their lines from this latest situation. It's difficult to read the breeze. As I said to Nathan pre-kickoff, it looks as though, if you read the flags over in that far corner as I look down from the back of the West Stand, that the breeze is against Leinster, but it's swirling around all the time. Here in it goes from McGrath to feed that Leinster scrummage right on the 5-metre line, and Bath are around the corner so quickly to put huge pressure on Dan Levy in that number 8 shirt, and they've won another turnover. And they've won an advantage too. That's absolutely brilliant from Bath, and they're only a metre short of that try line. They're rampaging through in huge numbers, and now they're calling in the forwards. They're at the base of the Leinster post here, and the pick and jam. It's one-out rugby, but it's very, very effective from this range, and they get the first try. And it's been coming, and that's a huge moment in the context of this game, because they've been bereft of confidence, this Bath side. But today, so far, we've played 21 minutes. They've been absolutely full of it. And it's a forwards try, but it came off turnover ball again. And it's an absolutely brilliant score for the tight head prop, Henry Thomas. 21 minutes in, and it is advantage the home side. That's a brilliant score. And the crowd enjoyed that. And the appetite for the physicality and the commitment to the breakdown and the contact area. We said pre-kickoff about the fact that they've picked this back row to try and snaffle Leinster ball, slow it down and pinch it at the breakdown. They've got the fetching skills of Sam Underhill and in particular Francois Lowe. And as Leinster really struggled at the base of that scrum, they were around the corner so quickly, and Dan Levy did not have a second to try and get that ball away. There were 3 or 4 black shirts right on top of him. And there's the conversion, and the roar will tell you that we've played 22 minutes at the Rec, and Bath lead Leinster by 7 points to 0. They have the first try, and it's come from Henry Thomas. And that is a real warning for Leinster. Nothing they could do about what was a really, really good passage of play from the home side. And when they got hands on ball just 2 yards out, the latch on was perfect by a couple of Bath players, and they just drove over from close range. And they have been the better team in the opening quarter of the game. We saw Leinster had that slow start that Leo Cullen spoke about all this week done in Toulouse. He said his side couldn't afford to do it this week. And they've lacked nothing, Leinster, in terms of physicality and commitment. But it's all come from the home side. They have matched them and passed them out in that regard. And that's tricky for Lowe. He bats it back down on the Leinster side. Rob Kearney up from full-back just into the Bath half. Couldn't quite get his hands on it. Johnny Sexton was there too. A little suspicion of a knock-on. Dan Levy goes in to play auxiliary scrum half at ruck time, and now he gets his body over it to allow Luke McGrath to come in and try and get this Leinster team moving through those offensive channels into the Bath half. And there's an element of control about this. Slippy ball, difficult conditions. Leinster trying to feel their way into the game almost. They haven't had possession for quite some time. They do have it now with Devon Toner. Finding it difficult to make inroads. That's a short little pop pass off his right, back into Leinster territory though for Johnny Sexton to Josh van der Fleer wearing number 7. It's with Sexton again on the wraparound. He gets that back from James Lowe. That's brilliant, and Sexton's away here. And he turns on the pace and he makes 15-20 metres down this right hand side. They're approaching the Bath 22. Oh, Ringrose is away. Brilliant from Gary Ringrose. He gave 2 or 3 Bath players the slip when he stepped off that right foot, and that was really good from the outside centre. The break was made initially by Johnny Sexton, the follow up from Ringrose, and just for a second the Bath defence looked a little bit porous, and they're funneling back in numbers, and it's a Leinster breakdown now 5 metres out. Can they find the perfect riposte here, the European champions, because they have been put to the sword in the opening 24 minutes here. They trail by 7 points to no score. They're looking to hit back. They won't hit back on this occasion. It's another breakdown penalty for Bath. What a decision that is for Matthew Reynal. I think it was Tom Ellis over the ball. There was 2 or 3 players making it very difficult for Leinster then. Rhys Ruddock pleading his case. It was he who carried the ball into contact, but they come up with a big defensive penalty. I'll tell you what, Todd Blackadder will be so happy with what he's seen from this defensive effort. Yes, they were breached by that line break from Gary Ringrose with that little bit of brilliance and the wraparound that preceded it from Johnny Sexton and James Lowe. But at the breakdown at this moment in time, 25.5 minutes into the contest, it is Bath who are bossing that area of the pitch. And it is from that little flashpoint, of course, that so much stems from the resulting penalty. The Kiwi James Wilson from Invercargill in New Zealand has found a really good touch almost up on halfway, and we will restart with a Sean Cronin line out. Tom Dunn makes his way over, and they get the towel out to dry the ball off. And what's the option here? They go to number 2 in the line, and it's a good clean take. And they try to get that maul moving up to the halfway line. They're just a metre or so short of Leinster territory. No real momentum on this occasion, so Will Chudley, the man who spent 6 or 7 years not too far from here down at Sandy Park by the Exeter Chiefs, gets that back line moving, and that's Ringrose now called upon to come out of the defensive line and make a big tackle. And when he did, Noel Reid came with him as well. We see Henshaw and Ringrose working in tandem like that so often, and it's forced Bath to kick downfield into the waiting arms of Kearney. From outside the 22, James Lowe switches the point of attack and kicks it down towards the Bath 22, and it's returned at pace by Jackson Willison. Almost up to halfway. There was a really big hit put in on him by James Lowe. There's a huge amount of physicality about this game, and a great tempo to it as well, as you might expect with so much at stake. Leinster beaten in Toulouse in round 2, having thumped Wasps, and as I said, Bath having lost to Toulouse and drew against Wasps. Oh, the ball's been knocked on, so that'll be a Leinster scrummage if nothing comes of this. Noel Reid kicks one in behind, a kick to nothing, if you like. Fukhana Singh has got some defending to do because he's up against Lormer over on that far side, who's barely had his hands on the ball. Lormer, a good kick chase, and that's going to be Leinster ball. And this time Leinster have won the decision, and it's a Leinster penalty at that breakdown. Let's go quickly to Burnley against Brighton at Turf Moor for a goal.
Burnley 1, Brighton 0. James Tarkowski has broken the deadlock here at Turf Moor. It came about from a free kick that looped in the air. An unconvincing punch from Brighton keeper Matt Ryan fell to the boot of James Tarkowski, who fired it hard into the middle of the goal. It's Burnley 1, Brighton 0.
Okay, Johnny Sexton has decided from that penalty to put the ball into touch, so Leinster will have a line out on the Bath 5-metre line. There's been another goal at Old Trafford. Darren Stanage.
Manchester United 3, Fulham 0. Romelu Lukaku gets on the score sheet. Another simple goal, really well worked. Corner it was. Juan Mata eventually took the corner, played it out to Lingard. A nice 1-2. Mata across the face of goal, and there to knock the ball home, Romelu Lukaku. Manchester United 3, Fulham 0.
Leinster, meantime, at the Rec, looking to hit back. They're 7 points to no score down. We've played 28 minutes. They have themselves a line out to be delivered by Sean Cronin right on the Bath 5-metre line. Will they go to Toner? No, they go beyond Toner to Rhys Ruddock, and Ruddock takes it well. And now that Leinster maul gets moving, and Cronin has it, and he's positioned perfectly at the base of that rolling Leinster maul, and they're very close to the Bath line. The French referee says Leinster try, and they have hit back, and they've hit back to very good effect. And there's a huge forest of bodies picking themselves up off that floor, and the last up with the ball is that man Sean Cronin. 3 tries in 3 games in Europe this season for the Leinster hooker, and they've hit back to very, very good effect. 29 minutes in, and with a conversion to come, it's Bath 7, Leinster 5 at the Rec. And they worked that really, really well. He's been so prolific. 32 tries now in Leinster colours for the 32-year-old Sean Cronin, a man who knows what it feels like to score a try in the final of this competition, having done so a few years ago against Ulster back in 2012. So the perfect riposte on 29 minutes for this Leinster pack, and interestingly enough, it came from a breakdown penalty, because, as I said, up to that, Bath were just having the edge at the breakdown. It's been a little bit scrappy at times, but Bath will be happy with their commitment. They've got plenty of men over the ball. They've slowed Leinster down, and they've won their fair share of penalties, but when they conceded one, as Leinster often do, they were very ruthless in the 22. They have their try. Now can Johnny Sexton, having missed that penalty from a very, very straightforward position by his standards, add the extras here and tie up the game. Clock ticks beyond 30, and he struck that really, really well, Johnny Sexton, and it is 7 points apiece. Leinster have their first try, and they have converted it, and it is very much a game on with 10 minutes to go to half time. You think about the evolution of this Leinster team, and you go back to the time when they met here at the Rec in November 2015. So many of the players playing today actually made their Leinster European debuts, when you consider what they've won in terms of Grand Slams and Six Nations and European and domestic doubles since then. The likes of Josh van der Veer, who scored a try that day. Bath won on that occasion 19 points to 16. It seems like a long time ago. It wasn't, but it was. It's very much changed times at Leinster. They finished bottom of their European pool that year with only 1 win in 6. So from the restart, Leinster have taken play via the boot into touch over on that far side, and it's a Bath line out just shy of their own 10-metre line. Their line out has functioned pretty well. They do have plenty of sizable targets in there for Tom Dunn to try and hit. Dave Atwood, 31 now, played 24 times for England down the years. Very physical guy. James Lowe's come from a long way to try and collect that box kick, and he didn't quite get underneath the ball, and he's knocked it on. So the referee's playing a knock-on advantage, and Bath have kicked that in behind, and the chase is on. Rod Carney is there. He's got absolutely no angle to work with. He just managed to duck underneath Fukunasinga, who tried to make life very difficult for him. He couldn't quite tackle until he got back to his feet. Bath are there in great numbers, but so too are Leinster. And Tadhg Furlong is over it, and he gets it away to Rhys Ruddock. And Ruddock just carries it a yard or two before he's put to ground, and Luke McGrath slows everything down. 32 minutes on the watch, 7 points apiece. Really good contest here, and McGrath gets his box kick away. The ball is allowed to bounce by Fukunasinga and is taken here by Larmour. And the Bath winger just seemed to lose his bearings for a second, and Luke McGrath very quickly made the decision with ball in hand there to try and turn Bath around, and back goes Chudley to the doorstep of his own Bath 22. Got his box kick away, didn't connect with it at all properly, kicked it straight up in the air, and as a result caught it almost in a static position. Then he was hit pretty hard by Devon Toner, and now the aerial ping pong continues as Wilson puts it into the heart of the Leinster 22, and here's Carney, and he booms one away down this near side. Just sliced it ever so slightly, but again there's a huge element of indecision in that back three. McConaughey this time allowed the ball to bounce and just about managed to gather it at the second attempt. He feeds it to Wilson, who fires it downfield to Gary Ringrose, who offloads it now to James Lowe, and he sends it skyward. This one's dropping just beyond the 10-metre line for Bath. It's picked up by the scrum half Chudley, and that's a really poor kick down the centre of the field from Wilson. It's not very pretty just at this moment in time from either side. This time the kick from Sexton falls into the arms of Rukadungani over on that far side, and he runs absolutely full throttle, full pelt into the smallest man on the Leinster team, scrum half Luke McGrath, but he's back to his feet pretty quickly, and now through a big gap in that Leinster defence goes the try scorer, Henry Thomas. Support lines arriving. How did he manage to get through there? There wasn't a Leinster player could put a glove on him, and he made 20-30 metres. Leinster have returned that to Bath via the boot, and the game continues at breakneck speed in difficult conditions. Credit to both sides. The referee, though, has spotted something, and in among that, I think it was from the offload from Henry Thomas, that there was a knock on from a Bath, and that was absolutely brilliant from the tight head prop forward, how he managed to find his way through such heavy Leinster traffic and punch a big hole in that Leo Cullen rearguard. There has been numerous warning signs for this Leinster side. As it is, 34 minutes on the watch. The European champions, 7 points apiece with Bath at this moment of time, after what's felt like 4 or 5 minutes of aerial bombardment from both sides, and a good deal of errant kicking, shall we say. We're just watching on the big screen over on the far side, that line break again. And I tell you what, he's got a yard or two of pace and a little bit more than that, and he's got a step too. He almost got away from Rob Carney. Credit to the Leinster fullback, who managed to bring him down, just chopped him down at knee level. He's having an absolute stormer, albeit he conceded one penalty at scrum time, Henry Thomas, over on that far side. He arrived here in 2014, having spent 3 or 4 seasons at the Seal Sharks, and he was capped on an England tour of Argentina back in 2013. He's only added half a dozen caps since then, but he's been very, very impressive over the course of the opening 34 minutes here. Remember, back-to-back games in Europe this fortnight, so important in terms of laying down a marker when you go away from home and you're expected to win. And there was a considerable amount of column inches taken up with the fact that all Leinster had to do today against a Bath side lacking in confidence was turn up, go through the motions, go through the processes probably more accurately, and get the win and the bonus point. It hasn't proved thus. 35 minutes on the watch. The referee's just going to ask these two front rows and those in behind to reset that scrummage. Conditions underfoot, considering the amount of rainfall that I understand they've had over the last couple of weeks, pretty good. It's not that heavy a pitch. It was a heavier pitch, you may recall, a few weeks ago when they went down to Toulouse to play. There's been plenty of top of the ground rugby in the opening 35 minutes here, and a lot of it has been provided from the home side. Got their noses in front with that well taken try from close range from Henry Thomas, and the riposte coming from Leinster from a line out maul dotted down by Sean Cronin for his 3rd European try of the season. more solid scrum, and McGrath gets it away to Sexton. Oh, that's really good hands from Ringrose, because he didn't collect it cleanly initially. He juggled with it, almost lost his footing, managed to gather it, and he fed it to Larmour out on that right hand side for Leinster. Back in field goes Larmour, and Luke McGrath gets it away to Devin Toner. There's another really big hit on him. The hits keep coming, and it was Charlie Ewells again who's made a lot of tackles in the opening 36 minutes here. The Bath captain leading by example from that second row. They're very physical in that department of the pitch. It's been kicked downfield by Leinster. It's been collected by McConaughey, who was up really well from fullback. That'll do his confidence very, very good. Took it very, very cleanly. Now there's a Bath player off his feet at ruck time, and the French referee, Matthew Reynal, says they've got to be a little bit more disciplined from that. Francois Lowe, the South African, is the player penalised. As I said, he's more ordinarily plays on the flank. He did, of course, play at number 8, his position today against Ireland at the Aviva Stadium last November, you may recall, in a pretty good game too. So from that penalty, Leinster back on the offensive as we approach 2 or 3 minutes to go to half time. And the penalty into touch right on that Bath 10-metre line. Leinster haven't lost 2 games in a row in this competition since 2015-16 season, when they lost the opening 4 matches in the pool stages, including a visit here to the Rec. Leo Cullen's first year in charge. James Ryan on this occasion was the Leinster player to take the line out. Took it very well indeed, and even more clever than that was Luke McGrath, who tried to get his pass away in field to get the back line moving, but the defensive line speed, which has been very impressive from Bath in this opening half, was there again, and that's good from McGrath. Had a little snipe and just got his offload away to James Ryan, and Ryan did likewise. Gets it away out of contact. Now there's cries of forward pass as Devin Toner got it away, but Levy's carried it on, and we're up inside that Bath 22. Leinster player down. It may well be Johnny Sexton a long way behind the play, but Leinster still carrying forward. Bath continued to employ considerable resources to the ruck to try and slow it down. Now Cian Healy needed good hands, and he got away from the first challenge. He's brought to ground. We're almost in front of the Bath posts, and they're looking to recycle and work it to that left hand side. They do so to James Ryan, and now they get it wide to Sexton, who's back on his feet and back involved in the play. That's good news for Leinster, and they try and just work it around the corner with the pick and jam, and they get it back into Van der Fleer. Again, they're forcing them back though. Leinster not making yards. If anything, they're going backwards. No room for Dan Levy to work in there. McGrath waits, and he gets it away to Ruddock. He pops it off to his back row partner, Josh Van der Fleer, but the commitment to the tackle from Bath is very, very impressive in this opening 40 minutes of rugby. They're forcing Leinster back behind the gain line. Now Sexton gets it away to Noel Reid, and Reid manages to scrag a Bath player or two and make 5 metres. Precious metres, hard yards being made here by Leinster in very difficult conditions, heavy conditions, against a very disciplined Bath rearguard so far, who are being very, very physical indeed. Taken on by Ryan this time. The Leinster second row has carried plenty of ball. He gets it away to the loose head prop Cian Healy, and he's driven back. They're lining up their targets extremely well here. Can Leinster put a little bit of oxygen on the ball and try and work something a little bit different, get one of those backline moves going? Here's Ringrose, who steps in off his right foot, almost lost his footing. That just allowed the would-be tacklers in black a second or two to make a tackle, and when they did so in enough numbers to turn it over again. It's another turnover penalty, and it's been a real facet of their game so far. Todd Blackadder is 5 yards away to my right hand side. He's seen enough for the opening 40 minutes as the clock goes red, and he will be very, very enthused by what he's seen both offensively and defensively from his team, who have played extremely well here. They've turned over ball. They've made it so difficult for the European champions Leinster, and the ball is kicked into touch by James Wilson, and they will go in at half time with the sides level at the Rec. It's a try apiece, it's 7 points apiece, and you can tell by the reception that the Bath players are receiving at half time that the home fans here at the Rec are very, very pleased with what they've seen, and why shouldn't they be? They've been under so much pressure in the Gallagher Premiership, but they have produced a very, very good 40 minutes of Champions Cup rugby here.
Great stuff. All right, great stuff, Connor, in that first half over there at the Rec, all by yourself, but flying through it. And it is Bath 7, Leinster 7, so a huge 40 minutes coming up in the Heineken European Champions Cup. Henry Thomas with the early try for Bath that was converted by James Wilson, but Sean Cronin with a try for Leinster, and a conversion by Johnny Sexton means they go in at the break, all square. Full live and exclusive second half commentary to come very shortly. Connacht lead Perpignan by 14 points to nil, heading for half time in the European Challenge Cup. First half tries from Darragh Leader and Bundyaki for Andy Friend's side. Let's get the half times from the Premier League and start at Old Trafford, where the goals finally starting to come for Manchester United. They're at home against Fulham. Darren Stanich.
93, Fulham nil. A super first half performance as United dismantle the basement boys. Young got the scoring underway on 12 minutes, cut inside from the left and then fired home, and then came a really good team goal for the Reds. Lukaku linked up with Rashford before the England man fed one. Mata, he side-footed on the second. The host totally on top, and then the third came on 37. Corner from Young to Mata, 1-2 with Lingard. He squared for Lukaku to score. Fulham have been poor. At half-time, United 3, Fulham nil.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly, so United in total control of that game. Next up, we're off to the London Stadium. It's West Ham against Crystal Palace. Guy Swindles.
West Ham 0, Crystal Palace 1. Palace well worth their lead, taken in the 7th minute when MacArthur prodded home as the West Ham defence slept, with Rice playing the Palace players all on side. They've also hit the bar through Milivojevic with a wonderful free kick from 25 yards just before the break. West Ham summed up really their first half with one move. Rice dissected the defence. Snodgrass had 3 players to choose from. He couldn't find any of them and passed to a Palace player. West Ham 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Now Arsenal looking to make it 21 games unbeaten. They're at home against Huddersfield today. Watching at the Emirates is Andrew Cheel.
Arsenal 0, Huddersfield 0. Huddersfield will be happy, but it's a disappointing first half for Arsenal, lacking inventiveness and sharpness in front of goal. Aubameyang shot just wide. Lacazette did have the ball in the back of the net, but was controversially ruled out for offside. Torreira saw a good shot, fantastically saved by the Huddersfield goalkeeper, and Pritchard for the visitors shot carelessly over the bar. Some of the visiting tackling has been robust, shall we say. 3 of their players have been booked. It's Arsenal 0, Huddersfield 0.
Let's see what's happening at Turf Moor. It's Burnley against Brighton. Adam Drury.
Burnley 1, Brighton 0. What had been a slow start to the game finally turned as Burnley found their feet in the final stages of the half. The Clients had a few chances, with Chris Wood and Robbie Brady seeing efforts on target well saved by Seagulls keeper Matt Ryan, and then the deadlock was finally broken in the 40th minute when a Jack Cork strike inside the box deflected off James Tarkowski, turning the ball into the Brighton net to give the Clarets a slender lead. Half-time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 1, Brighton 0.
And to Wales, where it's Cardiff against Southampton. Sam Fleet.
Half-time, Cardiff 0, Southampton 0. The new Saints boss, Ralph Hasenhüttl, will be relatively happy, I would think. The Saints have had a few opportunities through Austin and Lamina without really testing the Cardiff keeper. They've battled hard when the home side have pressed themselves. The Bluebirds, though, have been the better team. Murphy, Arter and Mendes-Lang all with big chances to give their side the lead, but they couldn't take them. Half-time, Cardiff 0, Southampton 0.
Earlier, Liverpool went top with a 4-0 win away at Bournemouth, a hat-trick in that game for Mo Salah. Manchester City away to Chelsea at 5:30. It's Leicester against Spurs at 7:45 this evening. In the Scottish Premiership, Celtic leading Kilmarnock by 4-0 at half-time at Celtic Park. Kilmarnock, who were top of the Scottish Premiership, getting destroyed in the opening 45. James Forrest, Odzuna Edouard, Mikael Lustig and Ryan Christie with the goals for Brendan Rodgers' side. In the Championship, the leaders... Norwich City 1-0 up against Bray Wanderers, against Bolton Wanderers. Leeds United currently 1-1 against Queen's Park Rangers. Scoreless between Birmingham and Bristol City. Swansea City are 3-1 up away from home against Brentford. Middlesbrough trailing Blackburn Rovers by 1-0 at the Riverside. It's 1-1 in the match between Millwall and Hull City. No goals between Nottingham Forest and Preston. Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 up in their game at home against Rotherham. Stoke lead Ipswich by 1-0, and Derby 1-0 up away from home against 10-man Wigan Athletic. Reading play Sheffield United in the late game in that one. Ronnie O'Sullivan has beaten Tom Ford 6-1 in the UK Championship semi-final at the Barbican in York. He's now into his 8th UK Championship final. Mark Allen will take on Stuart Bingham in the other semi-final at 7 o'clock. So that's up to date with most of the live sport that is ongoing. Quick break and we're back with live second half commentary where it's all to play for at the Rec. Bath 7, Leinster 7.
Bath versus Leinster, live from the Rec.
On Off the Ball. The Eason Book Club on The Pat Kenny Show.
For our December book club, we're doing things a little differently. We'll be discussing not one book, but 3 taken from the Eason Novel of the Year category at the Irish Book Awards. Brian Kennedy has chosen A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne, Milkman by Anna Burns was the choice of Mary O'Rourke, and Catherine Lynch selected Normal People by Sally Rooney. We'll be reviewing the books for our special Christmas book club on Thursday the 13th of December with our panellists Mary O'Rourke, Brian Kennedy and Catherine Lynch.
The Eason Book Club on The Pat Kenny Show, sharing book recommendations with book lovers every month.
Do join us and discover more at newstalk.com/Eason's Book Club.
At Power City, we have a wide range of DeLonghi portable heaters. Save on your bills by heating the room you're in rather than the whole house. To find your ideal DeLonghi heating solution, call to Power City today.
Give the gift of luxury this Christmas with a voucher for the Brehon Killarney. Overlooking the National Park and home to the renowned Angsana Spa, the Brehon is an award-winning hotel located in one of the most beautiful places on earth. Exceptional service in exceptional surroundings. Purchase your Christmas gift voucher today at thebrehon.com.
Every journey, everywhere in Ireland is always within reach, behind the wheel of a 191 BMW. Because right now, every BMW is available with reduced prices and 1.9% APR on selected models. Find out about the full range of offers at discoverbmw.ie or contact your local retailer. Finance subject to status. Over 18s. Irish residents only. Terms and conditions apply. A guarantee may be required. BMW Financial Services Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index, reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
Discover Samsung built-in home appliances at Power City. From large capacity single ovens with flexible cooking options to induction hobs with intuitive temperature control. For more information, go online to powercity.ie.
Following his sellout tour, Professor Brian Cox returns with a spectacular new show. 3 Arena, Saturday, February 16th. A fascinating journey through the origin and evolution of our solar system and the universe. Tickets from €39 on sale now. Don't miss Professor Brian Cox and his co-host of the Infinite Monkey Cage, Robin Ince, live at 3 Arena. Tickets on sale now. Additional charges may apply.
There's something about Christmas. There's something about it that creeps inside and finds the child in you. I was having a look around the shops to see what Santa might be bringing the boys, and there was this train set. Old style, black engine with maroon stripe, green and black carriages, all set up like. And the sound it made. Soft, yet it cut right through all the space-agey screeches in the place. And I remembered another Christmas morning, waking up, the windows frosted over with cold, you could see your breath. And the thing that woke me was that sound. And I didn't dare hope. Sliding out of bed, cold at the floor. And there it was, going round and round on the bedroom rug. I ran down, could barely speak. Mum and Dad were sitting there.
What is
the teapot covered in that knitted cosy and the smell of hot milky tea and rashers.
Guess what Santa brought?
You'll never guess what Santa brought, I said.
Well, doesn't that beat
Well, doesn't that beat Banner, said my mother.
no
A train set, no less. Isn't Santa the smart fella? Turn the moment gold with Barry's Gold Blend tea. So last night, when I came home with the train set, Mary couldn't believe it.
Martin, that's not what they want.
That's not what they wanted at all, she said. Santa will bring them what they want, I said. This is from me. Put the kettle on, we'll have a cup of tea.
The outcome of Brexit may not be certain, but one thing is clear. Your business could face serious challenges. Enterprise Ireland can help your business respond to the risks and opportunities which Brexit presents. Plan, innovate, compete and diversify with our wide range of supports. Start taking action now. Speak to your Enterprise Ireland Development Advisor or visit prepareforbrexit.ie, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
The Christmas wine sale is now on in O'Brien's, with over 200 wines from small independent winemakers to well-known brands, like our Chateau bottled Saint-Emilion Grand Cru, now $15.95, save €10, or New Zealand favourite Brancott Estate Sauvignon Blanc, now only $8.95. Pop in store or shop online at o'brienswine.ie. Please enjoy alcohol sensibly.
At Kenwood, we have a range of mixers to suit every cooking style. So whether you're an experienced chef or just starting out, you'll find your ideal kitchen companion in store or online at powercity.ie.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Kim?
Sorry, dozed off there. 4.
The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €6.5 million. Great news for almost everyone. Play responsibly in-app, in-store or at lottery.ie.
Bobby's Late Breakfast.
This Sunday we'll hear an incredible story from the Irish-Italian windsurfer who was lost at sea for 7 hours but miraculously survived. We'll talk survival of a different kind with Michael Lester. The comedy duo The Two Johnnies will stop by to slag off Kilkenny, and Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks is in the Cultural Toolbox.
Bobby's Late Breakfast.
Join me this Sunday morning at 9 and let me ease you into your Sunday.
On News Talk.
Bath versus Leinster, live from the Wreck.
On Off the Ball.
They're rampaging through in huge numbers, and now they're calling in the forwards. They're at the base of the Leinster post here, and the pick and jam. It's one-out rugby, but it's very, very effective from this range, and they get the first try. And it's been coming, and that's a huge moment in the context of this game, because they've been bereft of confidence, this Bath side. But today, so far, we've played 21 minutes. They've been absolutely full of it. Cronin has it, and he's positioned perfectly at the base of that rolling Leinster maul, and they're very close to the Bath line. The French referee says Leinster try, and they have hit back, and they've hit back to very good effect.
Yeah, a try apiece in the first half at the Wreck, where it is Bath 7 points, Leinster 7 points. We'll be back very shortly for full live commentary of the second half. Connacht leading Perpignan by 14 points to nil at half time in their European Challenge Cup clash down at the Sports Ground in Galway. Elsewhere, Altior maintained his unbeaten record over jumps with a clear-cut victory over Undersow in the Betfair Tingle Creek Chase at Sandown. The Nicky Henderson-trained Cheltenham Champion Chase winner stormed home to score by 4 lengths after a fine leap at the last. He's now the bookies' favourite to win the Queen Mother Champion Chase at the Cheltenham Festival in March. Kildare's 2 Mile House are the Leinster Club Intermediate Football Champions. They edged out Offaly Shamrocks by 1-8 to 10 points at O'Connor Park, while a second half stoppage time goal helped Louth's Dundalk Young Irelands to a 2-10 to 2-7 win over St Bridget's of Offaly in the junior decider. Elsewhere, the second half is just getting underway in the Premier League. Manchester United cruising against Fulham, 3-0 up from half time. Burnley leading Brighton by a goal to nil, scoreless between Cardiff and Southampton, and in the game between Arsenal and Huddersfield. Just a reminder as well of our competition, as West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 1 is the latest goal. Robert Snodgrass has equalised right at the start of the second half for West Ham. Our competition is with thanks to Creed 2, which is in cinemas now and is currently the #1 movie in the country. It stars Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone and Florian Big Nasty Montuianu. And today we're giving away a special prize to mark the release of the latest Creed instalment. For your chance to win a Creed 2 goodie bag that includes a copy of Creed 2, a gym t-shirt, a snapback cap and boxing gloves. Just tell us, what are the 3 words that follow this famous Sylvester Stallone line from the 2006 film Rocky Balboa?
You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit. And
if you know the next 3 words in that line, text us on 53106 to be in with a chance of winning that great prize. We will announce the winner towards the end of the show before 6 o'clock. So the sun is very much setting over the Wreck in Bath, where the second half is just about to get underway between Bath and Leinster. Conor Morris is our commentator. Conor, we'll hand back to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Nathan. Perfect timing. We are all set to go for what is a very, very intriguing second 40 minutes here at the Wreck. It's a big 40 minutes in the context of this Heineken European Cup pool, because the current champions, of course, Leinster, have been well and truly asked the question here by this Bath team, who've come into this game, as I said, on a run of very, very poor form. They've showed very little in the Gallagher Premiership by way of creativity and craft, and the results of shown that, and they've slipped to 6th in the table. They're a long way off the top. They're only a handful of points, 4 in fact off the bottom, but you would not think that on the evidence of the opening 40 minutes here and the way they played against the European champions. It's 7 points apiece as we get underway for the second half, and it's a test of character at a vociferous wreck for this Leinster team in tricky conditions, and Bath are up very quickly on the kick chase from that kickoff from McConaughey. It was at full back. He got plenty of hang time on it. It dropped just outside the Leinster 22, and Leinster couldn't gather it, and here go Bath into that Leinster 22 with one of the stars of the opening 40 minutes, Sam Underhill. He gets it away to another of them, Francois Lowe, the Springbok with so much experience at the base of that scrum, but he's played really well around the fringes in the breakdown today, has the experienced South African. Now Wilson, and back inside, and they're delving into the box of tricks right inside the opening minute of this half. Bath potentially, and Leinster are calling numbers over that far right hand side as Bath start the second half like they started the first. There was a spell in that opening 40 minutes where Leinster just got themselves back into it and back on top and controlled the game for 10 or 15 minutes, but back came Bath again. The tries in the opening half on the 22-minute mark, and then Leinster hit back with that brilliant try from Sean Cronin on 28. But here come Bath down the right hand side with Rocket Ongani inside that Leinster 22. There was 2 or 3 Leinster players appealing to the French referee Mathieu Reynal that they might have had a penalty there. The referee saw nothing. Now, did that go forward off a Bath hand? Forward or flat? No, it's marginally forward. It's about 20 or 30 yards away to my right hand side, and those that are directly in line in Bath colours are on their feet, imploring that it was backwards if anything, but the referee's not having it, and it will be a put in to the scrum for Leinster. Interestingly, at scrum time, of course, we spoke before the game, or you will have been reading since the team was announced, that Dan Levy's at number 8. There's just 1 or 2 little errors at the base of that scrum, a scrum that has been under pressure from the Bath pack of forwards, where the ball was allowed to pop out that 8 channel, and the Bath pack of forwards, the Lucies, were round the corner very quickly to make life difficult for Dan Levy. That was a feature of the opening try, albeit 2 or 3 phases before it happened, but it's just something to consider. Jack Conan, of course, who's more naturally in number 8, is on the bench this afternoon, but such is the breakdown contest that you feel maybe Leo Cullen just wanted to have an extra number 7, another jackler or a poacher out there in Dan Levy, and that's what he does have. Now the scrum goes down, not straight from Bath, and it's a Leinster free kick. And there's been a couple of little flashpoints at scrum time. I mentioned the fact that Cian Healy got one up on Henry Thomas early doors in this game to win a Leinster penalty. Otherwise it's been pretty even. And the Bath scrum last Sunday was pretty good against the Seal Sharks. Now Johnny Sexton hasn't gone for touch with that penalty from on his 22. Instead he sent it right up into the night sky, and it's been well claimed. Bath have been pretty decent under the high ball. McConaughey in particular, as I said, he's a sevens player, so he wouldn't have down the last 5 or 6 years of his career had that amount of high fetching to do. The ball goes into contact and Leinster win a penalty, and so that's a feather in their cap just 3 minutes after the restart, because while it was to and fro in the opening 40 minutes, the breakdown, I venture if he asked Todd Blackadder at half time, he will have said that his team bossed it with the likes of Ewells and Underhill and Francois Lowe, very strong and committed over the ball. We await Johnny Sexton to deliver this down around the 22, and he does that, and he's got more than that. He's halfway inside the 22. We'll go quickly to West Ham for an update from Guy Swindles on West Ham against Palace.
West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 1. The Hammers taking less than 3 minutes in the second half to level things up. There've been a couple of crosses flying in, trying to find Andy Carroll on as a substitute for Lucas Perez. Nothing came of them, but the ball came to Robert Snodgrass, who looked up and curled in a delicious finish with his left foot from fully 20 yards. And suddenly this game that had been stagnating a bit is end to end. It's West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 1.
No sense of any stagnation here as Leinster come on the attack with this set piece line out midway inside the Bath 22. It was a good delivery from Sean Cronin from touch, and he found Devin Toner, and having scored from a perfectly executed line out maul try in the first half, Leinster are trying to do that again, but Bath have decided they've had enough, and the ball goes to ground, and it's there for Cronin. He just had a little bit of a juggle at that. The tenacity around the breakdown from the team in black, it's been so impressive from Bath. They're giving Leinster players around the fringes no time to settle on the ball, no opportunity to find soft shoulders. Now, McGrath in at scrum half, and he gets it away to Reid. He's made a couple of little half breaks, Noel Reid, in this game, starting at 12 for Robbie Henshaw today. Remember, starting his first game since the Glasgow game in this competition last season. There's been an infringement spotted by Matthew Reynal there, and it's going to be a Bath penalty. One of the Leinster players was tackling a Bath player without the ball, and it may well have been Rhys Ruddock, and he's just going to have to listen to the French referee here. Johnny Sexton goes across to hear the lecture, and as always, and as you'd expect, Rhys Ruddock is pleading his innocent to the official, and Johnny Sexton's just going to give his tuppence worth as well. Leinster found themselves in a good position, so that's a little bit disappointing, having got themselves on the front foot. And if you're just joining us, as I said, 7 points apiece. A Leinster team back out for the second half, showing no changes from that which started it. 3 changes from the side that took on and lost down in Toulouse in round 2 in this competition. Let's go quickly to the Emirates. Arsenal playing Huddersfield in the Premier League this afternoon, and it's being watched by Andrew Cheal.
Arsenal 0, Huddersfield 0. A double substitution at half-time, indicating that Gunners boss Unai Emery really wants 3 points out of this game. Defender Lichtsteiner off, replaced by striker Iwobi, and Lacazette, the striker, replaced by another striker, Mkhitaryan. Xhaka has had a shot deflected off a defender for Arsenal. Keeper Lursil had to make an alert save. Huddersfield, well, their time-wasting tactics has started already. Arsenal 0, Huddersfield 0.
Oh, Leinster have turned one over at line-out time. It's really interesting. There's so much chat going on to the French referee at every scrum. Everyone is having their say at line-out too. There, Devin Toner was just in the ear of the French referee saying the Bath players were a little bit slow to get their numbers sorted out. They're walking into the line-out in groups of 2 or 3, making it difficult for Devin Toner and James Ryan to try and read what they're going to do. But when the delivery did come in eventually from Tom Dunn, it was turned over at the front. I think it was James Ryan, but the ball's gone into touch, and Dunn will have a chance again, and Ryan's up pretty high and pretty early again. This time he was behind his opposite number, and he couldn't quite get his hand in front, and Bath have won it. And Bath try and get that rolling maul going, and it's at the base, and it's under the arm of their hooker Tom Dunn. It's a hugely physical contest this afternoon, both sides giving it absolutely everything. Here comes James Lowe under the high ball, and Underhill as well, and it's the open side in black for Bath, who's taken it. That was brilliant from the number 7. Huge height on the kick through. Lowe came for it, he couldn't get it. Underhill did, and now Bath come on the attack, and they're making inroads inside the 22. Rocket Ungani gets away from 1 or 2 challenges. Tom Ellis now, number 6, has found himself in a wide channel, collected the pass, but he's been seized upon by James Lowe, and Leinster get back just in time to close the door. But they look dangerous, Bath. All the reports this week spoke about the fact that we haven't really seen anything from this Bath team over the last 6 weeks in terms of their attack. And remember, that's the remit of Gervin Dempsey, but today they've been pretty decent. But now it's the turn of Leinster to boss the breakdown, and Cian Healy is in their hands on the ball, turns it over. Leinster penalty inside their own 22. It's been an absolutely fascinating contest, that area of the pitch. Can't wait to hear how Leo Cullen will describe it at the end of the game, but we've got so much more to play in this game. We remain at 7 points apiece. We've played 8 minutes of the second half, and Leinster have bossed the breakdown in this half. That's their 3rd turnover penalty from that kind of situation, and that will be hugely encouraging for the Leinster coaching staff. Away to my right hand side here, we're going to have a stoppage in play because I think there's what could be a serious injury to one of the Leinster players. The physios are on in numbers, in so much numbers that I can't quite see who it is, just down inside that Leinster 22. And I hope it's nothing too serious, but really, when they were put under the cosh there, Leinster came up with some big answers at breakdown time. They will have spoken about it, no doubt, at half-time in that dressing room. They will have come out with a plan to try and figure out what Bath are doing, why they're able to get there in such numbers, in terms of the technical issues around the clear-out, and when they put their 2nd and 3rd man in, how to resource that area of the breakdown. And so far it has worked. It wasn't a Leinster player, by the way. It was one of the Bath players, who is now thankfully safely back on his feet. And it looks like it might be Dave Atwood over there. No, it is in fact Sam Underhill, who took that high ball so brilliantly inside the Leinster 22, but he's okay to continue, and he takes his place in the Bath line-out, and it's a A Leinster throw for Cronin. That one wasn't straight, but it's been picked up by Will Chudley. And it's back on the Bath side, and it's with Wilson. He goes for a big pass. Oh, it's been intercepted. That was a real risk and reward pass, and it's gone against Bath, and it's an easy try for Jordan Lormer. He runs in all of 45 metres, but the fly half, James Wilson, just launched one off his right hand. He looked to skip out 3 or 4 Bath players and delivered right wide out onto that Bath wing. Lormer read it, Lormer seized it, and Lormer canters in for the try, and Leinster take the lead. Well, they look absolutely brilliant when they go your way, but the Leinster line were up in numbers, and really that is not a good decision on reflection from James Wilson. The numbers were not there. The defensive line was perfectly set from a Leinster point of view, so much so that Lormer could take the risk, cut out of that line. He caught it above his head really well, and then he just went through the gears, accelerating beyond any cover that there may have been to try and get anywhere near him. Leinster lead by 12 points to 7. Johnny Sexton will kick 2 more, and it's Leinster who strike first in this second half, and now it's double scores, and the champions lead by 14 points to 7. We've played 49 minutes. Easy conversion for Johnny Sexton, a straightforward try for Jordan Lormer, and that will be galling for Bath in so many respects. It was really, well, an unnecessary risk for James Wilson to take. The journeyman New Zealander who's been all around the houses before, finding himself back here at the Rec, and from the kickoff it's been a little bit messy again. It was allowed to bounce right on that Leinster 22, and Leinster come away with a tag. Furlong it was, with ball in hand. Devin Toner, he's had a good game. The 6'10" tall totemic Leinster second row, but once again he seized the pawn at the breakdown. Sam Underhill is up again. He receives the plaudits on the open side for Bath. Has been sensational around the breakdown this afternoon. He's been very good in open play too. And it's going to be a shot at goal as the game just settles down for a fraction of a second. Frenetic pace about it, and the endeavour and the enthusiasm by both sets of players is what you would expect at this level of competition, and nothing more. Such is the attitude and the stakes, of course. And so it's the first time this afternoon that Bath have opted to go for a shot at the sticks. In swirling conditions, the ball is on the kicking tee, but Will Chudley will go in at scrum half and just hold it for his fly half, James Wilson. It is 2 metres inside that 10-metre line, so possibly around 34 metres out with a little bit on the angle. He's kicking from the right-hand side of the pitch up towards the hospitality end of the Rec, if you know it from the having been here or seen it on the TV screens. It's not straightforward in these conditions. He's given it plenty with the boot. He just didn't have the angle, couldn't bring it around from the right-hand side. It misses on the right-hand side, and it's an opportunity passed up by Wilson, who had the chance to get 3 points back, having ultimately conceded 7 with that little bit of a risky pass a short time ago. Okay, let's go back to Guy Swindles, who's watching West Ham against Crystal Palace.
West Ham 2, Crystal Palace 1. Remember, Palace were leading 1-0 at half-time, but with the scores level, Andy Carroll won a softish free kick outside the area. Anderson took it. It was well saved, but the ball fell to Hernandez, who was there to gleefully slam the ball into the roof of the net. West Ham 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Rob Corney under the high ball, wins it on the Leinster 22, and the team in blue come away with possession a little bit deeper that time from Johnny Sexton, the captain, into the arms of Gary Ringrose, who's foraged pretty well this afternoon. He's had 1 or 2 half breaks, couldn't quite get through just midway through the half, and it looked as though he might scythe his way through a couple of challenges to score what would have been a lovely try. He was hauled down at the last minute. Leinster get their kick away, and on this occasion Bath are a little bit, well, it's been knocked forward by a Bath hand. Leinster were hoping the ball would come back on their side, but ultimately Bath were poor under the high ball, and just as I say that, the conditions may have had something to do with that, because it is thundering down rain again. The swirling wind is back up. They seem to come back hand in hand as they make their way up the Avon River, these tricky conditions. Okay, plenty of goals this afternoon at Old Trafford. Manchester United taking on Fulham. Darren Stanage is there.
Manchester United 3, Fulham 1. Fulham getting themselves back into this game, but they've just had a man sent off, so the comeback could well be on hold. It was a penalty that was awarded. Herrera was judged to have fouled Kamara in the penalty area. He did look like he got the ball first, but the ref gave the penalty. Kamara slotted it home, but then just a couple of minutes ago, Anguissa it is, the Fulham player who has just received a second yellow card for a foul on Marcus Rashford. Fulham down to 10, United 3, Fulham 1. The
home support doing their best to lift their side in the driving, swirling, damp conditions here. Leinster leading Bath by 14 points to 7. We've played 53 minutes at the Rec, round 3 of the Heineken European Champions Cup, live on Off the Ball on News Talk, and it's been a pretty good second half so far from Leinster. They've managed to just reassert their authority with that try from Jordan Larmour, albeit an intercept try, but he took it very, very well. They read it pretty well, and we're going right back to West Ham. Lots of goals there this afternoon in the Premier League as well. Guy Swindles has the latest.
West Ham 3, Crystal Palace 1. The Hammers turning this game on its head in this second half. They've scored 2 goals in 3 minutes. The second one, a stunner from Felipe Anderson. He was down on the left-hand side as far as West Ham are concerned, outside the penalty area. He looked up and just curled a shot into the top corner. Watch it on whichever television you can this evening. It really is that good. West Ham 3, Crystal Palace 1.
Meantime, at the Rec, Jack Conan has come in to that number 8 position for Leinster. It's a switch that we thought might come at half-time, but Leo Cullen traditionally likes to wait 10-15 minutes into the second half, and Cullen's trying to shore things up at the base of that Leinster scrum, which is under pressure, and he had to do it. His first involvement was a backwards wheeling scrum, and he had to pick it from the feet of the second rows and try and make some yardage. Then Johnny Sexton hit really hard, and there's a huge tackle goes in from Dave Atwood that time on James Ryan. The commitment of the pack of forwards has been exceptional from Bath, but Van der Fleer gets away. It's great hands from Devon Toner. He picked that with a man on his back. It seemed the pass from Van der Fleer, but he managed to hold it. Now Noel Reid put a couple of nice kicks through in the opening half. He tried to just dink one in behind the Bath defence on that occasion and to hit a shin or a boot, and didn't quite find its target. Now Bath try and kick one down into that far corner. Really difficult one to take for Larmour over on that far side. He was going backwards very, very quickly. The ball was swirling around above his head, but he managed to do it. Really good claim. 14-7, 55 minutes on the watch. It's been anything but straightforward for Leinster this afternoon, but how many times have we seen it in big games, in European competition in particular, where they just maintain their poise and their patience, and they play the percentages until they get back up on top, and then with that ruthless attack that they have, they manage to fashion ways to score points, and that has been the case so far in this second half. They've opened up a 7-point advantage. They don't often lose 2 games in a row in European competition, as I said, and they put themselves in a position at least to ensure that that doesn't happen ahead of next week's return game at the Aviva against Bath. Toulouse, of course, in action against Wasps from 5:30 this evening in round 3. Anything could still happen in this group. Bath, meantime, through Atwood, who's been very, very good in that second row, have taken that line out, and they've hammered it downfield. And Larmour looking to step us away past 1 or 2 challenges, couldn't quite get up ahead of steam. The defence from those kind of situations for Bath this afternoon has been pretty good, and that will have pleased their coach, because at times in recent weeks they've switched off and the defence has been very, very poor as they've conceded a number of tries and they've struggled to score tries. The only one they've got, of course, this afternoon came from their tight head prop Henry Thomas. Luke McGrath at the base of yet another Leinster ruck, got his forwards in position to ensure there was no block down. He gets his kick away, but Leinster couldn't quite get underneath it, and Bath have it, but they're deep inside their own half and they're running into Leinster tacklers. And once again Johnny Sexton is leading by example there, puts his body on the line to make a really big hit, and the crowd are not happy that the Leinster captain appears on the wrong side of the ruck, and he's imploring the referee to make a decision. As it is, Bath hammer it down into the Leinster 22. And we saw a lot of boot to ball in the first half, and the trend has continued at times. It's been a feature of this game, and on this occasion, I think due to a swirling wind against Leinster in this second half, there's been a gain of ground of some 30 metres for Bath over on that far side, and we will restart with a Tom Dunn line out midway between the Leinster 10 metre line and the Leinster 22. A couple of changes coming in on the Bath side. Elliot Stook is coming in. Okay, we've got a goal for Cardiff City. They're at home to Southampton today in the Premier League. Sam Fleet is there.
It's Cardiff City 1, Southampton 0. What a huge goal this could be for the Bluebirds and the Saints, of course, as well. And a dreadful mistake by Yannick Vestergaard, the Saints defender. It was a ball prodded forward by Camarasa. It looked like Vestergaard was going to play it back to his own goalkeeper, but he miskicked it. Callum Patterson took full advantage, kept his cool, and slotted it past McCarthy in the Southampton goal. It's Cardiff 1, Southampton 0.
Back here at the Rec, it's Leinster 14, Bath 7, as we await a Leinster scrummage, as I said, midway inside their own half. Luke McGrath will feed the pack of forwards. As I mentioned, if you're just rejoining us, Jack Conan has been reinstated at the base of that Leinster scrum. He was on the bench this afternoon. Another player, he was struggling for fitness over the autumn series. Fit enough for the bench today and fit enough to come in 13 or 14 minutes into the second half and try and just shore things up at the base of that scrum. And that's a very good Leinster scrummage here, and the French referee is going to indicate a Leinster penalty. That's very, very good work from the Leinster 8. And we've got the pats on the head and the back, and the plaudits going to the Leinster players because they had that front row standing up pretty early. It was a really, really good initial shunt from the team in blue, and they've just managed somehow in the 7-8 minutes since they've scored that try just to slow the whole game down. They're playing for territory and they're taking the sting out of this Bath side, and it's what we've seen them do so many times to very, very good effect. You remember when they went behind in Toulouse and then they just seemed to regather their composure after about 20 minutes and take the sting out of the Toulouse side. Ultimately that didn't work out for them on that day, but they put themselves back into a position from which to score, and they're dictating terms now, which is something that will please Leo Cullen, who incidentally was out from his halftime team talk very, very quickly indeed. They will have said about rectifying the certain things that were wrong with the Leinster performance in the first half, and on the evidence of the opening 19 minutes of this second half as we approach the final quarter of the game. They've just got that little vice-like grip on proceedings here at the Rec. They have a line out on the far side. It's sloppy ball that went through the hands of James Ryan. Van der Fleer got both of his hands on it, and then he was pulverised into the turf by 2 or 3 Bath players who were on top of him in an absolute heartbeat, and they're making life difficult for Luke McGrath. The referee went around to have a look at that to see if the Leinster scrum half was impeded as he tried to get the ball away. I don't think the ball was out. He didn't give a penalty, and Leinster come again with James Ryan over at his toner. It's there for McGrath. Sexton hoists one high into the night sky, and coming all the way from fullback to take that was McConaughey. He did ever so well. A huge standing jump. Took it really, really well. Back they go into the 22 now. Will they look to run from deep here? Tadhg Furlong makes a big hit. Let's go quickly to West Ham against Palace with Guy Swindles.
West Ham 3, Crystal Palace 2. We thought this match might be over when the Hammers went 3-1 up, but Palace hadn't read the script and have just grabbed another one. It was a good short corner routine that ended up with Meyer crossing the ball, and there was unmarked substitute Jeffrey Schluck to head home past Fabianski. So game on again here. West Ham 3, Crystal Palace 2.
Ball is in the air from James Lowe, and he's kicked it up towards that Bath 22, and it's been dropped this time, but it's been dropped back on the Bath side. But there's a definite ploy in the last 10-15 minutes, having put their noses in front here, Leinster, to try and ask the question of Bath, force the errors from the home team who are trying to make headway. They need to get themselves back into the game, and Leinster very definitely now settling for territory, playing the conditions. And Bath have returned it towards James Lowe now. Will he try something a little bit different? He's kicked the last couple. On this occasion he has a little bit of snipe around the outside, but there's no room for manoeuvre really. Bath sticking to their defensive duties as they have done. McGrath just waits. Again, the defensive line speed from Bath is very, very good. They've afforded Leinster very few opportunities to get anything cheap, shall we say, through those defensive quarters. Cian Healy puts his shoulder to the wheel and puts his shoulder to a very strong Bath shoulder once again. McGrath, Ryan, he's had an excellent game. He's carried really, really well, and he's always looking to get his hands free and pop that ball out the back door. He couldn't quite get it away to Tadhg Furlong, I think it was, on that occasion. And the applause that you hear around me in the press box here is the Bath fans applauding yet another absolutely huge hit, monster hit, which forces the Leinster ball carrier back behind the gain line. It's been absolutely tremendous from the home side in that regard. Todd Blackadder can ask for no more from his players in terms of effort and commitment and tenacity and physicality. It's been everywhere right from the first whistle, but they trail by 7 points courtesy of that Jordan Larmour try, the intercept try. Now it's with Tom Dunn as Bath try and get back into this. Connacht leading Perpignan by 17 points to 10. They've only got 4 minutes or thereabouts to go in a tight game down in Galway, all still in the balance there as it is here in the Rec. Big weekend of European games. Now that's a huge hit on James Lowe under the high ball. Leinster fans are incensed. I'm looking at John Fogarty, I think it is, down on that touchline. The Leinster scrum coach, he certainly saw it. He's a long way from it, as am I. The referee's assistant over on the far side is right there, and he will be talking to Matthew Reynal in his ear and advising him what he saw. It looked as though it was a late and potentially dangerous hit on James Lowe as he went to collect that high ball. I don't think in real time that James Lowe was in the air when he did try to receive it, but nonetheless the French referee is going to have a little bit of a look now. James Lowe is receiving some attention, as you might expect. Johnny Sexton has gone over straight away to ensure he is privy to what's being said between the referee's assistant and the referee. And while we await the decision, and more importantly the treatment, Leinster are going to have a little bit of a conflab. They've got into a huddle right on their own 10-metre line. The referee is going to make a very long and slow walk down to the monitor away down in that far corner. Now we're just looking at that, and there's a swinging arm from the Bath player coming in on top of the Leinster player. Very difficult to see from my vantage point over here. I'll get a better look at it. It's not James Lowe, it's Luke McGrath underneath it, and that's a much better replay to see that Fokunasinga has gone in on the scrum half with a huge amount of physicality. The referee's decision is a Leinster penalty and nothing more than that. Johnny Sexton shakes his head, puffs out his cheeks. He felt that there might have been a sanction. Yeah, and I'm watching it again. That's a much better angle that I'm getting on the screen over on the far side. Fokunasinga comes in, he's committed to the tackle. McGrath's not in the air, so he feels that if McGrath stays on his feet, he's going to time the hit right. What happens is McGrath stoops low. In comes the arm of the Bath winger, catches the Leinster player. On the balance of what I've seen, I can understand entirely what the French referee is given there. Leinster will tell you that the arm is dangerous. It's around the neck and the head. And the more I watch it on that particular angle, I think the England winger, the Fijian Fokunasinga, can count himself a little bit fortunate that he's not going to receive further sanction. Okay, we've played 63 minutes. Leinster lead 14 points to 7. Leo Cullen decides to empty the front row from his bench and change things up. So Cian Healy, Sean Cronin and Tadhg Furlong are replaced. James Tracy, Andrew Porter and Ed Byrne comes in for his European debut in Leinster colours. Remember, no Jack McGrath at the moment for Leinster, who's out with a hip injury, might be out for something like 5-6 weeks or thereabouts. 7 points the advantage, a little over 15 minutes to go, and the referee was playing an advantage for an infringement over on that far side as Leinster lost the ball inside the Bath 22, so we'll go back for a Leinster penalty. And you wonder, will Johnny Sexton attempt a shot at goal here just to put us to a 2-score game? It's some 26-27 metres out, but he's going for the corner here. And Sexton hammers one down to 6-7 metres shy of the Bath try line over on that far side. We will have an attacking scrummage, an attacking line out for Leinster. as they make a couple of Bath, that is, make a couple of changes. One of those is Jack Walker and Cooper Vuna, two players who were excellent off the bench in the last 20 minutes against Sale Sharks. Okay, we await that Leinster lineup. We'll go quickly to Old Trafford.
Manchester United 4, Fulham 1. Really nice finish from Marcus Rashford, who gets his goal. He got the ball on the edge of the area, right-footed effort. People thought he was going to cross. In the end, he shot that, probably wrong-footed the keeper. He should have kept it out, but he didn't. United 4, Fulham 1.
Apologies, Darren. You would think that at 4-1 up, that's a job done at Old Trafford for Manchester United. Leinster looking to get the job done here. Sexton ignoring the 3 points that were on offer. They went for the line-out, but they've been turned over at line-out time. So many of these set-piece flash points are very tightly balanced today. Leinster have shored up the breakdown in the second half, but they've turned over a couple out of touch, and the scrum has been very, very interesting too. But that's good work by Bath. They just need to get themselves up the pitch and try and find some of that fluency about their attacking game that they had in the first half that will ultimately try and trouble this Leinster team. 15 minutes to go, as I was saying. And we're going to have a change at scrum half for Leinster as Jamison Gibson Park comes in. No Scott Fardy, by the way, in the match day 23. That's a needs must. 3 into 2 don't go in terms of New Zealand and Australian players. So it's Jamison Gibson Park who wins out there, and he gets 15 minutes at the Rec. He's been very good this season. Helped himself to quite a few tries as well. Now that's James Tracy's first real involvement as he carries from the base of that Leinster ruck. Gibson Park waits. Then the option is to box kick into the Bath 22, and this time the Bath player is taken out in the air. And that one was very clear. The referee was only 5 yards away. The crowd incensed, as you might imagine. We're going to have a look at this one on the big screen. I'm not sure the referee is going to go to the TMO. He's watching the replay down in that left-hand corner of the pitch. Jordan Lorimer is the Leinster player involved. He wrapped his right arm around the midriff of the Bath player. McConaughey up from fullback, who's been really good and assured under the high ball today. He did catch him, and the outcome was a penalty. Now does the referee see fit to do any more than that? Okay, well, while the referee's having a look at that, and actually the attention is to Jordan Lorimer, McConaughey's okay to continue. We're going to go back to the Emirates. Arsenal, Huddersfield, Andrew Cheal.
Arsenal 1, Huddersfield 0. The goal, the breakthrough coming at last. Aubameyang, the creator. Torreira with an acrobatic volleyed finish at shoulder height, really well controlled. He's been a fine player this afternoon, and he's got his just reward. Arsenal get their reward for persistence, but it's been, frankly, a lacklustre display, and Huddersfield will be bitterly disappointed if they get nothing from the game. Arsenal 0, Arsenal 1, Huddersfield 0.
Thank you, Andrew. Nothing further than the penalty, and the penalty is quickly taken. There's a sense of urgency about this Bath side. Remember, we've played 67 minutes. They trail the European champions Leinster by 14 points to 7 here at the Rec, and the penalty was fired up into Leinster territory, and they're quickly about the line out too, and now they're quickly about getting their driving maul going. And still they try and steal a couple of metres. Leinster there in good numbers trying to halt the progress, and away they come out into midfield, and they're trying to get their big men involved in off the flanks. Rocket and Ghani that time took it at pace, and they move it on quickly to Henry Thomas. Walker there too. Good tackle by Josh van der Fleer. Bath have managed to take play up to the Leinster 22, and it's in the hands now of Matt Garvey. Leinster player there, and well, Bath just tried to be a little bit too clever. They did have runners on the tight. They didn't want to put any air on the ball. They've been bitten by that try from Jordan Lorimer on the intercept, and in the end they find themselves offside. Ball didn't go to hand in any case, and Jamison Gibson Park has the ball in his hands 5 metres outside the Leinster 22, and Johnny Sexton will come across and use all his experience and slow this down again. They're running down the clock, and they're just testing the will of these Bath players. And when I said he'd take every single second, it's a much easier touch find for Johnny Sexton to kick to this near side towards the west stand. He's turned around and he's kicked it right over onto that far flank, and he's kicked it fully 50 metres over onto the far side. He just about found his touch, and the ball may well have caught a Bath hand over on that far side. That could focus in the Singa, and he did indeed. And into touch it goes. Leinster put into the line-out in any case from a penalty, but he's got absolutely every inch out of that as Johnny Sexton. He's marshalled the troops very, very well. James Tracy takes the line-out, and it was won by Devin Toner. It's been largely pretty good out of touch by Leinster this afternoon. Now it's into midfield from Sexton to Reid, that little axis of 10 to 12, and Noel Reid has acquitted himself particularly well this afternoon. James Ryan, once again, he's put his hand up for man of the match. He's been exceptional in the second row, but there's rarely a game goes by where you don't find yourself saying that, so much so that you almost ignore him in terms of man of the match, because so high is his tackle count and his carry count, and Leinster have carried that into contact, and there's another set of Bath hands over it, and it's another breakdown penalty, and they needed that. 22-10 is a challenge score full time between Connacht, Perpignan, Down and Galway, and Leinster looking to get the job done here in the Champions Cup at the Rec. Home fans are getting a little bit excited about the fact that their team, having won that breakdown penalty, find themselves now 5 metres shy of the Leinster 22, but they'll need to manufacture something here if they can. Do they have a little bit of guile and craft? Chudley, the scrum half, gets it into midfield to Garvey. Garvey looks to set a platform. Josh van der Fleer again, his tackle count is well up into double figures. Underhill got the ball away. There's a massive overlap, a 3-man overlap wide left. If they can get the ball there, Leinster there in numbers. Bath trying to put the ball through hands, just not quick enough. There was a moment where if that ball had gone to hand, there was 3 Bath players. There was only 1 Leinster player over on the far side covering. It may well have been Jordan Larmour, but they've made hard work of that. And Leinster looking to shore things up with a defensive set deep inside their own 22. 70 minutes on the watch. Leinster lead by 7, but here come Bath looking for 5 or 7. Right under those Leinster posts, and they lose the ball, and it's picked up by Toner, and he gets it away to James Lowe, and he boots it downfield, and the siege is lifted, and they're off in chase here. Jamison Gibson Park, 78 metres downfield. McConaughey works it to the right hand side. Looking on Ghani, and Lowe comes in with a really big tackle, and Leinster win the penalty. And that is a huge moment in the game, because 40 seconds ago they were camped under their post. There was an overlap to the left hand side. They knocked the ball on. It was quick thinking from Devin Toner. It was a huge boot downfield from James Lowe, and when they looked to counter Bath, Lowe came in with a massive tackle, and there was no way out for Bath. And from the breakdown, Leinster get the penalty. Breathless stuff from the champions, and that will see them camped down here where they need to be at this stage of the game. Lowe picked his man up, and we're watching the replay, and once again the vociferous home fans not happy about the nature of the tackle. And being completely impartial from my view, I think that was a really, really good hit, and James Lowe gets up as he always does with a massive grin on his face. Johnny Sexton meantime has made way for Ross Byrne, and Ross Byrne is going to have a shot at goal here to try and take Leinster beyond the 7-point mark. This could be a huge moment in the game. He's only on the pitch a matter of seconds. From 27 metres out, Byrne gets his kick away, and up go the flags. And it's a 3-point penalty for the replacement fly half, who has an immediate impact in this game. But credit the pack of forwards for their relentless tackling just a couple of minutes ago as Bath came on the surge. They forced a turnover. They counter-attacked with Lowe. It was his kick. It was his tackle. It was Leinster's turnover, and it's Ross Byrne's penalty, and the score is 17 points to 7. And there is an inevitability about what Leinster are doing here. They are not champions for any other reason for the fact that they get themselves into these kind of positions and they know how to win games. And that is what they're doing. They have been so businesslike in this second half. And the margin is 10 points, and we've got fewer than 10 minutes to go. We've got 7, in fact. Gibson Park gets his kick away. That was a great penalty from Ross Byrne. It looked straightforward from here, but these conditions are very, very difficult. He kept his composure, and there was a huge conviction behind it. He's kicked well this season. Kicked well for Ireland too. A couple of caps under his belt now. The ball's gone over to that far side. It's been knocked forward, and Bath will have the put into the scrummage. Bath, remember, came into this game having lost to Toulouse and drawn against Wasps. Leinster put Wasps to the sword before losing in Toulouse. So the remit coming here to the Rec, which is traditionally not the easiest of places to come in European history, was for Leo Cullen and his Leinster side to get a win first and foremost. If we thought they might get the full 5 points, it has not been easy. Far, far from it. It's been a much improved display this afternoon from Todd Blackadder's side. The man who incidentally is in charge until 2020, but they're doing a little bit of an Ireland here at the Rec. Stuart Hooper has been lined up to replace him. Gervin Dempsey, you wonder in a couple of years' time where he will fit into the jigsaw. And they're looking to, in some ways, reshape the entire culture around this great club, because they're looking to promote from within and get the structures off the field correct. And it's going to take patience, and as you can hear from the crowd at regular times this afternoon, they're not the most patient crowd. They've grown a little bit worried about the lack of good rugby they've seen in the Gallagher Premiership this season in particular. They've saved their best rugby, it seems, for European competition, and this is probably their best performance of the season, and you wonder, are they out of this game just yet? It would take a huge effort from this team to get themselves back into it, and at the crucial time they've knocked the ball forward there, looking to put it through the hands, trying to get the likes of Ruka Dungani and Fokana Singa involved. They need their big players to step up now, and really they've just not been clinical enough with ball in hand. 14,425 in attendance here at the Rec. We understand somewhere in the region of 1,600 of those are Leinster fans who've made the trip over. And the Leinster Supporters Club, incidentally, if you've been following Twitter and you are a Leinster fan, brought over 1,400 or 1,600 Leinster flags today, only to be told that they couldn't distribute them around the ground because they were a health and safety hazard. Now that has caused a Flaggate, #Flaggate scandal on Twitter. And as it is, there's not too many Bath flags flying at this moment in time in the swirling breeze around us, because they trail by 10 points. And it looks as though Leinster, this consummate professional unit, are going to get the job done. As we watch the front row take their place for this Leinster scrummage. Big day, of course, for Ed Byrne to win his first game in European competition. A player who's had, well, a horrific time over the last number of years with injuries. I think at last count it was, at one stage he was out of the game for 28 months. He's played pretty well in the Pro 14 this season, and he gets his reward, as I said, with no Jack McGrath. Andrew Porter in on the tight head side of that Leinster scrum over on the far side. Toulouse against Wasps is coming up a little bit later on this evening in this pool. 5:30 the kickoff time. Interesting to see how Toulouse get on, and certainly that will have a big, big bearing, as indeed, of course, will the return leg of this game in Dublin next weekend. Leinster have been so impressive on home soil, and they've been pretty impressive here tonight, albeit under pressure and after what was a little bit of a slow start. Now Ringrose has got away from one or two tackles, and he's kicked one in behind for Lowe to go off in chase. Difficult one for the fullback to try and gather, but McConaughey, and he's done most things very well this afternoon, did well again, and he almost got away from Josh van der Fleer. As it is, he brings play up to the doorstep of that Bath 22. We've got 4 minutes, a little bit under 4 minutes for Bath to try and fashion a way back into this and get themselves back into losing bonus point range at least, or potentially set up a titanic finish. Ross Byrne is under a high ball, is swirling all over the place, got his fingertips to it. He knocked it back on the Leinster side, gets it away to Carney, and Carney looks to counter here up towards that Leinster 10-metre line. Willing runners on lots of angles. Jack Conan is one of those, gets it away to Gibson Park, and so too to Andrew Porter. Leinster up to halfway. That was good combination play, good composure. Byrne, who slotted that penalty just a few moments ago, that is taking Leinster out to this, what seems to be an unassailable 10-point lead. Are they going to make it 2 wins out of 3, as Leo Cullen insisted they would this week, or at least insisted they had to? But Bath have a penalty. Is there time for the home side to get something out of this game, something for the fans to cheer in the dying embers of the game? We've got 2.5 minutes of the regulation 80 to play, and the penalty is 5 metres inside the Bath half, so they will endeavour to get this as close as they can to the 22. That's a huge kick down that far side. It brings play into the Leinster 22. They've taken every single inch out of that from James Wilson, the former Highlander, former chief, who's come up here to spend 5 years at Northampton. He then went to France, and he's back here, having spent the summer down in Invercargill and playing with Southland. Devin Toner is coming off for Leinster. What a shift it's been for him in the second row again tonight. He's not in that Leinster line-out to try and turn it over, as Bath take the line-out with Tom Dunn over on the far side, and they've managed to secure it, if only just it was a little bit scrappy. And now they weigh up their opportunities, taken on by Walker. There's been 1 or 2 introductions off the bench that have worked pretty well for Bath this evening. Can they find a try or 3 points potentially to put themselves within bonus point range? Here they come in front of the Leinster post, keeping it tight in with the forwards. Leinster tackling in numbers. There was almost a gap, and here they come now at good angles, good running, good support. Oh, the offload almost came away. Leinster are scurrying back onto their try line, right in front of their posts. It's all here for Bath now. The clock reads 78 minutes and 40 seconds. They've simply got to get something out of this. They're in a very similar position from where they scored in the opening half through their tight head prop forward. That was in 22 minutes, and here they are 2 minutes from trying to get a second try. Can Leinster hold out here and deny Bath anything in the closing stages? The referee is right there. He's very close to the breakdown to see exactly what's going in, because bodies are piling in at a rate of knots. So the arm is out, penalty coming, shot to nothing. Do they have numbers wide? That's a really good tackle from Ross Byrne as they tried to give him a slip on the outside and get in for 5 points. Stuck to his guns, made the tackle, and all of a sudden Leinster have forced Bath back 5 or 6 metres. Nothing, no advantage coming back. We go for the penalty. And you wonder, will they try and set up a scrummage here from almost right in front of the post, try and suck in the Leinster numbers to the scrum. They're right in front. They can split the attacking options right and left here. A little bit of a Gervin Dempsey play off a first phase set piece in the closing seconds of this game. What odds on that? Yeah, it looks like they're going to take the scrummage option. Leinster will be slow enough to come and take their place here. Is there to be late drama here? It's been a full-blooded contest, and well, Bath have played exceptionally well. Do they deserve a try? Their manager and their head coach Todd Blackadder, I'm sure he will tell you that they do. But the reality is they've just been arm wrestled out of it in the second half by this Leinster side, and they're perhaps wisely, in retrospect, going to look at taking 3 points here and getting themselves back to within 7 here.
Is on for number 11.
They've made a couple of poor decisions on reflection. That pass from James Wilson, which found the arms of Jordan Larmour for what was essentially the decisive moment of the second half, that intercept try on 49 minutes, coming in as it did just 9 minutes after the restart. But they're going to get something from this game, Bath, you would feel. It's straight in front of the posts. Nothing easy, and it requires somebody to put a stabilising hand on the ball before Wilson will kick. The Bath supporters are on their feet all around us, and they're making their way towards the exit. Will they go home with a losing bonus point? Up go the flags to say that they will. It's a 3 points from the boot of James Wilson, and that will bring the referee's whistle, and it is all over. And Leinster have found a way to come from behind in this game, and on a try count of 2 tries to 1, they have beaten Bath at the Rec in round 3 of the Heineken European Champions Cup by 17 points to 10. A late penalty securing what will be a consolation of sorts for Bath, who played tremendously well, arguably their best performance of the season, certainly in recent times. And we'll go quickly back to the studio and Nathan.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks a lot for that, Conor. You're going to go and you're going to get some post-match interviews. I'm sure Leo Cullen and Stuart Lancaster are going to be delighted with that. Middle of December, away from home. That's a proper grinding win.
Absolutely, yeah. They had to dig deep. They were asked a series of questions, particularly in that first half, where I'm not sure they'll be surprised by the tenacity and physicality of Bath, but certainly it's not something that the Bath supporters have seen in recent weeks. I mean, they were abject last week against Seal, but right from the whistle here, the tempo was up, the appetite was there. There were so many leaders in that Bath pack, the likes of Atwood and Newells, and in particular Francois Lowe, who was so good at number 8, and Sam Underhill is a real shout for man of the match, even in a losing team. But ultimately, Leinster, as they do, took their opportunities. A brilliant try off a perfectly set up maul from Sean Cronin, and then the little bit of good fortune or poor decision making from James Wilson when he threw that pass that found Larmour. And once Larmour went in, you just got the sense around the ground that, well, it wasn't going to be their day, even though that only came 10 minutes into the second half, because as I said in commentary there just was a shift in tactics from Leinster. They put the ball a little bit deeper into the pocket, to Johnny Sexton, to James Lowe, to Rob Carney, and they kicked all day. They kicked high, they kicked long, they kicked territory, they forced Bath back, they played the conditions, and it paid dividends.
Conor, great stuff. As I'm sure anyone was listening noticed, we weren't able to bring you the full off-the-ball experience at one of our live rugby games with our full commentary team. We had some issues, but Conor, you stood up manfully. Brilliant stuff over the last couple of hours. Go rest the voice for a little while, and well, you meet Leo Cullen and Stuart Lancaster, and we'll bring you that before 6 o'clock.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Nathan.
Great stuff from Conor Morris there, and a big win for Leinster, 17-10 away from home against Bath, and they will now welcome the English side to the Aviva Stadium next Saturday evening. Good day as well for Connacht. 22-10 winners over Perpignan at the sports ground in Galway. Tries from Dara Leader, Bundy Aki and Kyle Godwin against what was an understrength Perpignan, but keeps Connacht's hopes of progression alive. They've won 2 of their 3 games. Sale topped that pool. They've won both their games so far. Now, let's go and turn our attention to the Premier League and get the full times from the 3 o'clock kickoffs. It's been a good day for Manchester United. Finally, a good day for Jose Mourinho.